So I just ran back from the pool because I need some salt bills. But I also have to make this video, so I'm gonna get some water and we'll see how this all plays out. I get these ideas, they come to me, they convict me, and then I must share them. But they go away, and then I can't really articulate them the same way again. It's fascinating. So imagine you're a slave, you're in the salt mines. You wake up in the morning on your bunk bed, your slave brother is above and below you. Might not even be related to you, you don't really know. It's just kind of like a number. You talk a little bit too much to your buddy, but he doesn't really want to talk because he's worried the slave master's going to hear you guys talking. He's going to come in and beat you. You go masturbate in the bathroom because you're just like, I don't know, that's the only dopamine you get. Then off to the salt mines and you're just getting whipped and you're getting your salt. You're just fucking horny, and you're just waiting for the next chance you get to masturbate. And you're miserable. You feel like shit, and everyone around you is miserable and feels like shit. And your buddy, they don't really have any good stories. Maybe you got like a buddy who's got a story by the time he was a sailor, but you don't even really know if that's true. He's got some stories about women he may or may not have known. You don't really know if that's true. You look over and you see the king. Sometimes there's someone who looks like he might be the king. You don't even know who the king is. You're a fucking slave. You see him with some woman. You're like, oh my God, I wish I had a woman. And like, maybe you had a sister or mother, but you don't really know them. They get separated from you. Maybe you make friends with the female slave, but the female slave is either very ugly or has been taken with or without her consent to service her owner. You're pretty pissed about this, but you don't really know any different because, women just sleep with higher value men all the time. This is just the way it is. The woman sleeping with a higher value man, So you're just kind of like all women are kind of whores because you have no premise for understanding a woman who wouldn't be, because it's like the ugly woman would be whores and would do that to get favor, and even if they wouldn't, you don't really know because they're ugly and no one wants to sleep with them anyway. So now you're like, there's all these ugly women and you don't even get contact with them that much, and you kind of want to have sex with them, but they're really ugly, and the woman you would want to have sex with, you can't have sex with them because they have sex with their owners for favors and stuff, and you're just beating it off and beating dirt in the salt mine and getting beaten, and it's all terrible, and you don't really know anything. You have no concept of past or whatever, and I don't know, maybe you have a son or something, and maybe you get some favor and you can raise your son to like have some sort of, I don't know, like maybe the master's like a gay dude secretly, and you fucking suck him off or something, and now your son is like in a position where he can like get educated, or I don't even know, but you're just in this position of like privation, and I'm not going to tell a different story. So now imagine you're born into a wealthy family, a very wealthy family. And in this wealthy family, there's many things expected of you all the time. Your parents, because you're wealthy, they have to work all the time. So they're working all the time. You don't really see your parents. You're in this boarding school that's essentially like slavery, but kind of different. You're kind of just brainwashed and stuff. You're growing up, you're a horny adolescent, you want to have sex, but it's like, I don't know, like the woman around you, like, they're sort of, I don't know, they're like younger women or something. It's like, maybe you do want to have sex with the younger women that are around you, but that's not where your mind goes immediately. Your mind goes to images advertised to you of sexuality, of what sex should be, of pornography, of woman all dolled up and glamorous on magazines, on billboards and stuff, and you think, you're like, that's a woman. whatever that represents. And you're basically in this scenario where this is the dichotomy between Pharaoh and his slaves. It's the dehumanizing effect of slavery. Pharaoh is just as much a slave to the system as his slaves. Because let's say Pharaoh wants to, let's say this is a slightly more traditional society, so sex outside of marriage is frowned upon. Though I could make it work in our society, it's just that's what's coming to mind. So, sex outside of marriage is frowned upon. You're that 16-year-old boy that wants to have sex. They're like, okay, you have to get married to this woman and blah 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 blah, and give me a second to think about this. But I'm trying to make this point, and I'm just going to talk about the point a little bit, and this will all make sense at some point. So, the slave believes that sex with the whore is freedom. Because, and this is sort of the definition of slavery. Sex is recreation, it's creation, it is creating a relationship, creating people, creating family, creating legacy, creating. To have sex without creation is the dream of those who cannot themselves understand what it would be to create for themselves. This is the reason there are so many men who are addicted to prostitutes. They are not capable of integrating their sexuality with the rest of their life and are such slave to their sexuality, and thus the slave wants to have sex with the whore. There are men who are deprived of sexual contact because of their position, situation, and disposition, who crave having sex with the whore insofar as they are slaves. This is why it is profound when Spartacus turns down the free sex in the movie Spartacus. He's saying, I am not a slave. I am not someone who's simply going to masturbate better now that there is a physical body in front of me. I am not governed by this. I am not enslaved to this. Men who have bragged that they've dated strippers, I put them in this category. You're the slave who longs to have sex with the whore. No judgment, just you see yourself as a slave and you want to have sex with the whore. Why is that inherently true? This is inherently true because if you follow this train of thought through, if you follow the train of thought of complete sexual depravity through, you will find that it doesn't indeed satisfy you. It is actually not satisfying and non-generative. It does not generate anything. Even if you yourself are, for whatever reason, satisfied by it, you will create a scenario where your children will be slaves. So, even in a sense, it is true that the man who desires to have sex with the whore will become a slave through his desire to have sex with the whore. I think this is kind of what's represented by the Whore of Babylon. So, why though? Why would a man become a slave due to his desire to have sex with the whore? Well, it's the desire to disintegrate. It is the desire to take sex out of relationship, to take relationship out of sex, to it's a form of idolatry. It is idolizing the freedom that you believe yourself to be deprived of, which you are not deprived of, and the belief of that deprivation creates its reality. That's really what it is. It's like in Wild at Heart. The guy who wrote this said, what is attractive to a man about seeing a woman spread-eagled on a bed, masturbating vigorously in sexual passion? She's uninhibited. She's fucking horny, and she's getting at it, It's like, ooh, wow, there's a person who's not denying themselves their desire. So, why get a whore then? Why would you get a whore? You can just uninhibit your own desire Be your own whore. Be your own whore and then be in a relationship with someone else who also wants to be their own whore, and then together build the strongest bloodline of all and go forth and conquer. How did Cersei figure out how to get past Poseidon? I guess Poseidon was sticking his willy in her and told her, and she helped Odysseus escape. It's not a very smart move, Poseidon. It's just, I really want to get to this more though, because it's the same person who believes that having sex with the whore is freedom is the same person who believes that the abusive tyrant is king. The abusive tyrant is a tool of a fragmented system meant to inspire fear of those who are really in control. Pharaoh's just the flail. This is deep. A man who cannot control himself must be controlled by others. Why does the man who wants to have sex with the whore become a slave? The man who wants to have sex with the whore as a whore becomes a slave. If you desired to, I'm not talking about the occupation of the woman in question, because you could have sex with a woman who is not a whore by occupation, who is desirous of being a whore in that moment, in which case the result of slavery will still be inevitable. It's a selling of oneself out. It is, why must the man who desires to have sex with the whore is a slave? Because the man who is not a slave already had sex with the whore and realized that he wanted someone who was committed to him above all things and would die for him. The whore would not.